What's going on, everybody? Nick here from Nick's Kicks and Comics, and I am excited about tonight. I'm excited about tonight because I'm an old man, and I want to know that when I leave this earth, that it will be taken care of by good young people. And tonight I have two of those. Well, one of them is semi-young. Two younger people who are promoting this fantastic movement throughout the community, both great guys in the collectible world and talented dudes all around. All right, so I'm going to bring out our first guest, Travis, a.k.a. TM Nerdy. We'll bring him out first. And we'll Station. Fabulous guy. How you doing tonight, Travis?
I'm doing fan-freaking-tastic. Thanks for having me on this channel. And thank you, everyone in the chat who has stopped by to see me and the next guest that we're going to have.
Yep. Speaking of, we'll bring in our semi-young guy, another talented individual who's across several different mediums, Mr. Phable, the fabulous one. How are you?
Station. Good.
I love it. And for all you old fogies and people who do not know, Station is from a Bill and Ted's excellent movie, and it means be excellent to each other. And as we know in this great comic book community, we try to do just that. All right, so let's say what's up to the fantastic chat. We'll say hello to Mr. Missing Link, Station. Another one with a fabulous mustache, but I can't do mustaches. I only do beards. What it do, Pikachu? Sean, another talented artist like my man Phable right here. This guy always brings a smile to my face no matter what he's doing. Mr. Freak Key Louie.
He's awesome possum.
Our in the mix hip-hop reigning champion, Mr. Jason, Mr. Slotted Up 503. How you doing? I keep waiting for him to say hello back, and I realize that's not going to happen. Wifey 420. Station, how are you?
Station Sheena.
Another fabulous member of the comic book community, godfather to the Grow Together movement, Mr. Gary B.
Station.
Oh, Tyler's warming up for that big fight tonight, Mr. Shattered Glass Reviews. How are you doing? And I think we are caught up. All right, so being caught up, we want to get to know a little bit about you guys and how you started in your collecting career. So we'll start with you, Mr. Travis. How did you start collecting?
Well, at a young age, I was interested in I got introduced to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the X-Men, Spider-Man, the animated series, Batman. So I grew on that. But the first character that I got introduced to in comic form was Shadowhawk. That's why I have such a big love for Shadowhawk and that, because it's the first character I read in comic book. And it was just sitting there waiting for my mom to get through checking out and that, just sitting there sifting through it. Where I'm at, we don't have a comic book store. So it was just whenever they had comics in grocery stores like Sobeys and Superstore. But other than that, but after a while, comic books kind of left my life. Besides reading some Image comics and some comics that I could get off my buddy's older brother, like Spawn and all that fun stuff, I went through life just being a fan of anything comic book related, like TV, movies, anything like that. I do watch the CW, do enjoy some of those TV shows, but I think it was about a little over a year ago that I got back into collecting comics. It took me a little bit to figure out where I was going and that, and then I just started watching some YouTube channels trying to figure out what was the best one. And then I came across Comics with Bueller. And that's where it all started with me. That became a regular show that I watched. And then gradually went to Robbie's channel. So they did help me get into collecting and stuff. He was very helpful. I messaged him even, and he messaged me back, Bueller I'm talking about. And he was just so helpful with this is how you should do it. This is what you should look for. Collect what you like. Don't be going after keys if you're just trying to get into reading comics and that's not what you want to do. So I made a few mistakes. Was buying off of eBay for the longest time until I came across an actual Canadian online store, the comic store that I have been using ever since. It's Captain Can Comics.ca. So it's over here in Canada. So I just ship for my comics all the time. I don't get them right away, but that's all right.
So how close is the nearest comic store to you then?
About 3 hours, but they don't carry indies. They just carry three. Like even though Image is considered an indie, they don't consider it an indie there. So they only carry Marvel, DC, and Image. And I've fallen in love with like picking up. I do pick up a lot of Image comics, but um, I think when I got back into it, one of the first books I read was Hotel by Aftershock. So it was a really interesting series.
Yeah, I find most of the stuff that I'm reading nowadays and enjoying is definitely indies. But you have such loyalty to the legacy characters. It's just like you keep buying them. Like I haven't read an Amazing Spider-Man in probably like a year, but I still pick it up week to week to week. But cool, very awesome story. And I do remember picking up that black and silver Shadowhawk cover myself. So
Oh, you mean this one right here?
it was that one, not that one. The one with the die cut cover with the silver underneath.
Oh, I have that one too.
Okay. But I was probably 18 years old when I picked it up, so I hate you for being younger than me, and we'll move on. How about you, Mr. Phable? What's your collecting story?
Well, I started when I was really young. I was always aware of superheroes growing up. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 1980. So I was always aware of superheroes because at the time you had Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. You had a couple of things going on where the superheroes were in your face, you know? But it wasn't until I was 8 years old that one day I was in my grandmother's house, and my aunt, who was a little older than me, she had comic books, and she had like a stack of books laying around, and one of the books on there was Uncanny X-Men 212. I don't know if you're familiar with Uncanny X-Men 212, but that's the fight between Sabretooth and Wolverine, right?
Yep. Snow
So
on the
the cover
cover.
of the right. So the cover of that book, I've never seen Wolverine look like that. You know, you're used to this cartoon version of Wolverine. When you see this comic book version, well, first of all, I didn't even know that there were comic books. I didn't even know. I thought the cartoons were the cartoons. I didn't know they came from comic books. So when I saw a comic book and then the cover with Wolverine all bloody and messed up, I mean, it just blew my mind. Boom. So my grandmother saw that right away and she said, "You want those?" And I said, "Yeah, I want those." So my first comics were X-Men 212 and 213. And then I would sporadically get comics from my grandmother for a little while, for a couple years.
Mm.
And then we moved. And when we moved to this place where there was a comic book store down the block. So you could imagine how, happy I was at that point. So, and it was the perfect time because McFarlane was running hot on ASM. It was that time. It was the late 80s, early 90s. And if you were around at that time, you know how crazy it was at that time. Batman had came out in 89. All this other stuff was happening in the comic book world. So it was a really exciting time. Plus the Marvel cards, all that stuff was happening, right? So, like everybody, I got into Image when Image started. And I collected about maybe the first 10 or 20 issues of all the major ones: Spawn, Savage Dragon, Shadowhawk, Wildcats, But comics started getting really expensive at that point. Like when I started, they were like 50 cents, 75 cents. When I left, they were like 250. And that was in the span of 5 years. You know what I mean? You can't, as a 12-year-old, you can't keep up with that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I got out of it because of the money. I just couldn't afford it. And then the comic book store eventually closed down too. So that was the end of that kind of. So then you fast forward, I don't know, 20 something years, almost 30 years later. I'm coming home from work on a bus. I'm on my phone like everybody else is on their phone. And I see a headline on the internet says, Rick Grimes is going to die in the Walking Dead comic book. So I was like, well, I could probably try to pick that up and make a couple of bucks, maybe sell it on eBay or something. You know what I mean? Let me get my hands on this thing. So I started calling up all these comic book stores. I didn't know about previews. I didn't know about FOC. So you could imagine nobody had this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did find a store. I found an online store called G Mart in Chicago. They happened to have a copy. So I was like, oh, great. Found a copy. Bought the copy. Came in a few days later. I was like, oh, great. Let me see how much I can sell this thing for. But I opened it up and I started looking through it. And I don't know, I can't describe the feeling to you, but it was like a chapter of my life that was closed or hidden away inside of me that all of a sudden just came to the surface. Like it was like euphoric. Like I'm looking at this comic book and I'm like, I remember this fondly. Like I love this. What happened to this? And so then I was like, okay, how do I get more of these things? So I subscribed to Walking Dead. Walking Dead ended 2 issues later
Yeah.
by surprise. So I was like, holy crap, what do I do now? I don't know what to get. All these names sound foreign to me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stick to what I knew as a kid. Spider-Man, the Hulk, X-Men, big X-Men. And I was lucky because at that time, House of X and Powers of X had just got announced. So I was like, holy crap, this is for me. Like it was like almost like fate, right? Like my favorite characters of all time, characters that got me into this, were relaunching at a new #1. It was perfect. It was so perfect. And then the rabbit hole we are in, once you get into one, that's it. The slope, you're sliding down.
You left because it was expensive, only coming back to the most expensive period in comic books.
There you go.
And I can tell you honestly too, because that hit me too. Like I've been reading comics off and on digitally, but for some reason I picked up, and I forget what it was this time around that I picked up just to read physically. And there is such a difference. There's no feeling like picking that up and that tactile feel, especially if an 80s book or something from back in the day, that kind of like gritty, smooth feeling, and the smell, it brought me, just like you said, it hit me right in my childhood, and I was hooked again. And now I'm broke again. All right, and speaking of broke, let's start off on a negative. All right, let's hear. We'll keep with you since you're pretty much on a roll, Mr. Phable. Let's hear a negative story that you may have.
Negative story is when I lost my collection from a kid. I had stopped collecting comic books, but I was smart enough to keep them in a box and have them in short boxes. So I had maybe about 2 or 3 short boxes, and I wasn't. I had little problems at home, a lot of personal stuff going on, but I ended up having to leave my house, and I couldn't lug the 3 boxes with me. So I had to leave it with a friend of mine, and he always told me, as long as they're here, they'll always be here for you. But then me and him had a falling out, so I lost that collection. And this is a collection that had all the books that everybody wants now, right? Your New Mutants '98, your all the McFarlane Amazing Spider-Mans, all the Dale Keown Hulks, all the good stuff. So it always hurt my heart, and that's probably one of the most negative things that's happened my comic collecting career, you know.
Dude, that's what you start off with? That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough, but at least you have a physical something that prevented you from keeping those books. My collections throughout the day, those 90s books that you're talking about, you know how many Young Avengers books I sold for probably $1 that are worth $1,500 now? So at least you got to beat somebody up to get them back,
Exactly.
being stupid and giving them away like I did. Like I did. All right. Well, I hope we can only get better after that first story, but that was a rough first one. Damn. All right. How about you, Mr. Travis? Let's start off with a negative.
Say that again.
Let's start off with a negative for you.
A negative. All right. Well, like I said, like when I was trying to figure out how I was going to get comics and that, I was trying different ways, like eBay, and then I found this Facebook group and decided to buy some comics that I saw that I thought I'd be interested in. It was like some older 80s Teen Titans books from Perez. And so I ended up ordering them and getting them, only to find out like half of them had like mold in them and mildew and stuff. Like I was like going through them, I had to throw them out. I couldn't even deal with like the smell of them. It was just uncanny. I used to smoke, so I've been 2 years smoke free. So like it must have been in a heavy smoking place because like the cover was just like yellow and stained and like like it was green spots inside the books. So like it was probably about seven books I had to throw out that I bought, and I never got a refund. But that's probably the worst thing that happened to me.
All right. Well, it's a lot better than giving away Young Avengers 1 for free. All right. Speaking. Let's see who else we got in the chat today. All right. So I saw Mr. DJ Links. Which I don't know the beginning of, but definitely a New York thing. Mr. Bobby De La Ghetto, what is going on, my friend? Awesome interview between he and Travis. Also, go to Travis's channel, check that one out too. Please say hello to Mr. Link. Shop for Comics, how are you? Station. Mr. Chip Getler, how are you? I'm trying to emulate that guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we're caught up in the chat. All right, so let's get on to some positives. Let's start with you, Travis. What do you have positive to let us know about?
Well, the most positive thing about getting into comics and then getting into this community that we found on YouTube was probably finding Pop Culture Philosophers channel, because that's where I met Phable, that's where I met Big Herm, that's where I met Eric, Bobby, like all of those great people, Missing Link. We all connected in that group chat because Pop Culture Philosophers may be a big channel. It kind of seems sometimes like a smaller channel. Like we're all friends there. Like everybody that's in the chat, we all know each other. We all talk on Instagram, and there's a lot of us. And Robbie also talks to the chat. Like there's nights where he just sits there and just chats with us. Like, what's on your mind, guys? And goes through everybody's comments. And it's just like a chill night with him. So that's probably the most positive thing to come out of getting into comic collecting, was to find this amazing group of people in this community. Like they're lifelong friends now. Like if Phable doesn't message me on a daily basis, I'm calling him.
Yeah, and ever since getting into that group chat you guys going on, it's pretty awesome. You know, and the thing is like with this community, it doesn't take long to get acclimated to each other. We all have that common thread, and it doesn't take that warming up period, like, you know, kind of like getting to know you. Everybody just seems to hop in fast and is very welcoming. So I completely agree. Hey, how about you, Mr. Phable? You obviously got some love in the chat. So let's talk about some positive stuff you got going on.
Well, I just got to piggyback off of what Travis said, man. Totally got to piggyback off of him. And I'll take this step further. Well, first, yes, I agree 100%. The community and everybody in it, and everybody I've met from Travis to you, Nick, all of you guys, like everybody, so nice, so welcoming, heartfelt, and I used to be part of like a video game kind of thing. I used to try to do the same thing I do now, but in video games. And let me tell you, that is the most toxic thing I've ever been involved in. Everybody's always fighting about the Xbox versus PlayStation, just the most silliest things. Always fighting. I come here to this community, and yeah, you got DC and you got Marvel, but it doesn't seem to be like, oh, this sucks or that sucks. It's like, oh, I'll try some DC if I'm a Marvel guy, or I'll try some Marvel if I'm a DC guy. Tell me what I should read. It's a lot different. And like you said, pop culture philosophers, Rock and Robbie Billups, everybody in that chat is awesome. Big Herm, he's the first one to open up to me. So those are the positives. But to make it a step further, these guys that I met, Big Herm, Travis, Nick Comic Culture, Dylan's Comics. Who am I missing, Trav? I know I'm missing somebody.
Talkie 616.
Taki, I'm missing somebody. Big Herm,
JT.
Chamorro
Tomorrow.
Cinema.
Oh my
Chamorro
God.
Cinema.
Champ
Chamorro
is
Cinema.
here.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is too,
So,
Chamorro reached out to me. Chamorro reached out to me in the beginning too, just out of the blue, and he kind of fostered that welcoming, and just getting into it too. It really did shock me, but those guys. Manny is just across the board. You never know what's going to happen on Manny's channel. You're going to have karaoke one night, movie reviews, comic reviews, everything in stunning high def 4K beauty.
Fun fact too, that karaoke episode is the first appearance of me, Phable, Stefan, a lot of us. We made our first appearance that night on screen.
Was it a cameo or was it a true first appearance?
True first appearance.
But I was saying that to say that when I met these guys, none of these guys had channels. Right? Like none of them. Travis didn't have a channel. Big Herm was on the cusp of making one. I caught him right in between when he was just about to start. Chamorro had a channel, but he left for a long time. I don't know. He took a real long period off and was just getting back in. And the same thing with everybody else. Everybody else didn't really have nothing going on. And the positive thing, get back to what's the most positive thing. The positive thing is seeing these guys grow. That is the most positive. That brings, you don't know. It makes me so happy to see Travis, Chamorro, all these guys growing, you know what I mean?
So now I have to ask, this year we're looking forward to C2E2 as a kind of like a meeting first time. Do you guys have any plans to all link up, or when the nonsense with the COVID stops, do you guys have any plans to meet up physically?
Oh man, hopefully.
I don't think I'll make it to that con, but I do have plans to make it over to, because I've always wanted to go to New York, for more than just one reason. I want to go to Broadway. I want to go to a Yankees game. I want to do all of that stuff. And now I have two other reasons, Big Herm and Phable. So, and then to go to a Comic-Con, go to Midtown, go check out these places that I've never been. Just show me around New York.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And as a former New Yorker, you're going to need at least 2 weeks before you should get to the big things. Take these guys, let them take you around to all the small. Midtown is overwhelming the first time you go there, especially the main location, 2 floors. It's you as a comic guy, you have to go. If you buy something there, maybe. Plenty of other comic shops there. You should definitely stop along. So, I hope you guys get to do that soon. Hope you guys get to do that.
Well, I told him
I plan to go to Michigan.
I told
him.
I told him I was taking him to Washington Heights. Look, you see Nick smile. He won't
We'll
come
keep
home, right?
we'll keep it comic books for now. Let's move on. Let's keep it. We'll go to a negative one. We have another negative one, Mr. Travis. You have another negative story to tell?
The only other negative story I could tell is like we're all good now, like, but my comic shop, we had words. Like I always try to be nice about it too, being like, I know you guys are busy, and like if you guys could, and then it was just become more and more of them just kind of ignoring me and being like, I want these books. Like, why can't you order these books? And then what's going on?
No, sorry. Go ahead. Didn't say anything.
And yeah, no, it was just it became too much. Like because I asked for black cotton, and now they never got black cotton and stuff. And then with Second Sight, I kept telling them, I was like, hey, I got the guy from Second Sight. He wants to contact you guys. He wants to send you an email. He wants to get his books in there. I want to read his books. I want to read more books from Second Sight, and nothing for a while. And then finally, they actually clued in. It was like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We've ordered the books, and then next thing I know, I see the second print of Black Cotton, and now they're just continuing with that. So it started off as a bad story, ended up into a good one.
Yeah, now Black Cotton's a good one. I wound up getting the Ashcan, the Sanctum Sanctorum first issue, and the second issue just came out. So great story, one that's relevant for our times, and definitely one that everybody should be reading. All right, so stay out of Washington Heights, Phable. Let's hear some negative stuff from you.
I guess some of the negative stuff that I've experienced since coming back would have to be probably the USPS and the UPS. I can't tell you how much money these guys owe me in damages from their playing around with our packages and stuff. I mean, it gets me boiling. I don't know about you guys. I bought a con exclusive for about $100. I've never spent $100 on a comic book, and it came like a taco. You know what I'm saying? So if I had to say something negative that I really hate is shipping. I hate the ship, the process, and I hate how much it costs and all that stuff. That's like a huge negative for me, man.
That international shipping just kills everybody.
Do you find it worse? Do you find, does it take a longer time to get to you, Travis? Do you order a lot of stuff from the States? I mean, I would imagine with eBay and whatnot.
Usually when I did eBay, I haven't touched eBay for like almost a year. So I haven't been touching that, but it was just people in Canada. So the shipping wasn't so bad. But shipping from the States, like buying stuff, I've just bought a couple of exclusive covers, one from Bueller, one from Bob, and one from Rock and Robbie. The shipping is unreal because like you get, all right, it's $6 to ship to you guys, like in the States, and then it's $21 to ship to Canada. So that's the issue with that. Like, that's the biggest issue. Like, I don't know why the big hike, because we're side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I agree. And I've been ordering a few exclusives from Comic Kings from Canada, and I find shipping is not so bad. But that's how my introduction into mystery boxes and getting into YouTube. My first video was an $800 eye candy mystery box, and when I got it, I was super psyched to get this. When I got it that day, there was a big gouge right in the box, and I was pissed, petrified, and I was ready to go off on something. I was ready to go postal, so to speak. But I think when you order from members of the community, those who know will pack to avoid that. So thankfully for me, none of those books were damaged as a result, but you get scared every time you order to see what you're going to get from them. So this is why I stress the importance of getting to know your LCS and definitely getting to know your postman, because they're handling your money. So be careful. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we just did a negative. Let's talk about another positive. We'll start with you, Mr. Phable. Or you can talk about Washington Heights again.
The positive is, I guess, me coming out of my shell. I'm not this. I don't have a dream to be on YouTube or to do things, content, and that's not my dream. I just like to collect comic books. I like to show them off on Instagram and stuff like that. But that being said, all my friends, they keep telling me, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that," and they pulling me into this and pulling me into that. And even though I'm reluctant, it's kind of helping me get rid of a lot of fear that I shouldn't really have at this age anymore. You know what I mean? What do I got to be scared of? Who's gonna tell me what? What am I doing here? So I'm just trying to be more open and positive about being on these shows with my friends. To help them out, because they need support too. So that's the positive that I think is really good right now.
And honestly, I have to say, I watch your channel, and that music is fantastic. I'm a big music guy, and just to hear all that stuff. But
Thank you.
in getting to know you as a friend, I want to see your face. You're a good-looking guy. You're a good-looking guy. If it wasn't for that mustache, maybe something can happen. But it's part of it. In that first video I mentioned, I wasn't sure if I was going to show my face, and then I blessed the community with this.
You're gorgeous, man. You're gorgeous.
Everybody welcome you back.
And if you notice,
if when my grade comes in, I hope it comes in just as even as yours, because I have a feeling my grade is gonna be funny.
Right. If you're not married, don't get married. Otherwise, you won't have none. Don't worry about it.
if you notice, a lot of Fable's songs are the intros to our videos, like mine, Big Herm Collectibles, and Nick Comic Culture now. All of our channels have his music as our beginning.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of them are produced by Shimaro Shinema also.
Yeah, he's very, very well talented in editing and creating videos and that.
Yep, I agree. All right, so you know what? We're gonna let's just ditch the negative. We'll talk about positive. We'll just keep the positive vibe going. Something that's never been done, and I figured with you guys issuing the forefront, we'll just keep the positivity going. So
we don't usually like to talk about negative.
We're positive.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm all about the positivity too, but sometimes.
Can I give you one negative? I'll give you one negative if you allow it.
That's right, absolutely. Let me
I don't like all of the doom and gloom talk about the industry. When I got in, everything was going to be over before I even started. And here we are almost 2 years later, and this thing has done nothing but grow. So for everybody out there with the doom and gloom, hey, listen, if you don't like something, there's so many books out there, man. There's a book for everybody. This is like the golden age of comic books right now. There's never been this many titles, man. Never. And not this good, not this quality. So just one negative that I hope goes away is the doom and gloom. The industry's dying. The companies are going out of business. It's all nonsense. That's all.
I forgot how to do my thing here. No, I agree. And you know what, too? And I know there's been a lot of people tend to joke towards the DC side of things. But I think that's more of and I can equate it to Mets Yankees without those hardcore, idiots who want to kill each other. You kind of like jibe back and forth. You'll throw little jabs here and there. But honestly, I mean, there's nobody as a kid who read a comic book who is not, you do not know who Superman and Batman is. You have not not read one of those comics. And even though I'll tend to jibe towards DC a little bit too myself, a lot of great books are coming out right now from them. All right, Robin, Teen Titans Academy, Swamp Thing, Suicide Squad, whole host of others. And as long as they're putting out good stuff, I'm all for it. And I agree with you. But I tend to think that it's a little bit more friendly jabbing back and forth as opposed to you suck and the hardcore stuff. So I agree.
Well, I don't mean necessarily the jabbing because we jab all the time, but I mean like just the doom, like, oh, these idiots running DC and these idiots running Marvel and these dumb people. Nobody's dumb.
It's too much
Nobody's
negative
dumb.
talk.
They try, they try to do what they can, and if you don't like I said, just get away from it. You're a little too involved. It's making your life a little too stressful. You need to step away. Maybe the character, you've outgrown the character, because remember, there's a little 8-year-old kid out there, just like when I was 8, that saw that comic book you just called trash, and they think that's the best thing they've ever seen in their life. And you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, true. We got these hardcore biased comic book people too, trying to make sure that their thing is always viewed as the best. And it's a comic book. No matter who makes it, there's always going to be something good about it. So I agree. Let's keep that going. How about you, Mr. Travis? You want to keep the positivity going?
Yeah. Might as well say Bobby Delgado. That's like the top positive thing. That guy came into our lives. He's a great artist and just a great all-around guy. And he also brought his brother Joe into this community and is also bringing sister Joe into this community. So that's a positive right there because we just keep bringing people into this community, making them feel welcome. But Bobby Delgado is the next big thing. Just saying that right here. You heard it here first.
I thought he was bigger. I thought he was big already.
Oh, he is.
After your interview, yeah.
But he sent, like, just because he felt so welcome and so happy and enjoyed that he sent us an AOK. I don't have the shirt with me right now. It's hanging and drying.
Kansas City.
And then, like, he sent me Kansas City Chiefs. He said, "You're now a Chiefs fan." And then he sent me Shadowhawk signed by Jim Valentino. And he sent me a picture of him getting it signed by him.
Wow.
And then just a bunch of other stuff. Like he hooked us up and then a Spawn figure that I don't really want to touch because I'm worried that it'll break. I don't want to break it. But like not only that, he sent Phable, Maniac of New York figure, and a bunch of other keys that he really enjoyed. And like that, Bobby Delgado is probably one of the best people to know in this community.
Nope, I agree. And you know what, too? I think as the older generation, so to speak, well, I guess we're in the middle. But we've been waiting for something like this. And in watching some of Bobby's stuff, he's that guy who's had that love for comics all along and knows how to pass it along to the younger generation. So station to you, Bobby. I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And for sure, you're the next, you're a big thing now. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so let's get we have anything more to talk about before we're going to go ahead and head out? I mean, we got positive stories upon positive stories. We can keep that going.
Yeah, but what's another positive?
Let me think. A positive is the growth, man. The growth. When I got in, there was no YouTube content like how we have now. The YouTube content has gone through the roof. The Instagram content has gone through the roof. The community, the amount of people I see joining every day. And some people I don't even remember them, but they remember me. And when they remember me, they say, "Oh yeah, you said station to me, and because you said station to me, that made me feel more comfortable." And I'm like, "Oh well, I'm glad you called me on a good day." But it's the growth, man. The growth. That's why I say, like, I don't see where the doom and gloom comes from. All I see is just more and more growth all the time, and how it extends into everything else. Because come on, guys, I mean, who doesn't collect toys? or play video games, or watch MCU movies or DCU movies or cartoons or anime, or you know what I mean? It all blends together. It's all great, man, and it's just growing. When I was a kid, you know what I'm talking about, Nick. When we were young, if you played video games, you was a loser. If you read comic books, you were a loser. If you did any of the things we do right now, it was like, what are you? What you know, they looked at you bad, man.
That that
And now it's funny that
that nerd was a very negative connotation. Nerd was probably one of the worst words you can call you can call somebody without deeping diving into the seven forbidden words. And now it's one that's widely accepted, and you want to be a nerd because that's where $1 billion movies are at right now.
yeah.
Nerds.
By the way, I trademarked that nerd, so you gotta owe me some money now.
Listen, if you trademarked that, you wouldn't live 300 miles from a comic store. Trust me.
No.
Yeah, man. It was a negative thing. And you know, I had friends that were all tough guys, you know, they're all tough guys, and now they're in their 40s and 50s and they're like, "Bro, what video game should I pick up? How do I play this? Or you know, how do I do this? How do this?" The same guys that were telling me, I was like, you know, laughing at me. Now all they do is ask me all day what to do. It's the
Yep.
craziest thing, but it's a positive thing, right? Like they saw the light. That's how I see it. They saw the light, and now you know we're all here. We're all
They
here.
mentally
Finally.
matured.
Yep. Those guys peaked in high school. Now you're at where you're at. All right, so I want to thank you guys for sharing your stories, keeping the positivity going, and by far, thank you for being who you are in this community. You've made a big impression, not only on me, which is hard to do because I'm a tough guy, but everywhere you go, you guys are spreading that station vibe everywhere you go, and I can speak for a lot of the other members. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Travis, you want to let them know what you got going on? Let the people know what you're doing.
Well, I just dropped an AOK that I got from the Rogue Trader today. We did a live. If you haven't watched that, you guys can go check it out on the replay. This Sunday, I will be over on Big Herm Collectibles channel, and we'll be talking about the Spawn Compendium, and then we'll have the rest of the Bad Batch coming in afterwards to talk about X-Men movies, what they liked, what they didn't like, what we could have done better, and how they related to the comics. And then next week, I will be sitting down with Eric Durant. That's right, Eric the Stash Durant for chatting with the comic community on Wednesday, part of Whiplash Wednesdays, the Bad Batch.
All right, I got to say a few things. First of all, Mr. Durant, I have nothing against mustaches other than the fact that I can't wear one like you wear one. Your top two, 1A, 1B with Rob's Fat Stacks has got a nice mustache too. His is a lot more gray though, and Mr. Missing Link, he also has a very nice mustache. So
We like to call him Stephanie Cavill.
that was a good looking guy with a mustache too. I'm not going to front. Second thing I want to ask is, a few weeks ago, Travis, you called out Mr. Bernthal to play Cosmic Ghost Rider. Has he responded to you yet?
No.
Fucking guy, man. All right. Appreciate you again, Travis. Thank you very much. Hopefully John will get back to you. And Mr. Phable, what do you got going on?
I just dropped a music video on my channel about 4 days ago, directed by Chamorro Cinema, of course. He provided some excellent visuals. I'm getting back good feedback with that. Next week, I'm going to be with Travis on Travis's channel. He's interviewing the artist of Stray Dogs. So you guys don't want to miss that. Yeah, he's got Trish Frost on the chat, and I don't know why he wants me there, but he wants me there, so I'll be there. And also last one is Dylan's Horror Show. I don't know if you've ever heard of that channel. He's another pop culture affiliate. He does a lot of horror movie reviews. He used to do comic books a lot, but his niche is horror, so he really dug into the horror movies, and I'm a horror movie guy. I love horror comic books. So we're gonna be on his channel discussing what is it called?
We're gonna be
Grindhouse. You ever saw
yeah.
Grindhouse?
Robbie
Death
Rodriguez.
Proof and Planet Terror. We're gonna be reviewing that movie. So I'm super excited for that because that's one of my favorite flicks, and Dylan is one of my favorite people.
Dylan is phenomenal. Yeah, I can't wait for that night. That'd be the first night that Phable and I will be on his channel. I was trying to get the Langoliers going, but Robbie wouldn't have any of that.
Why not? Now he's not a King fan?
Stephen King, yeah.
Yeah, he's not a big Stephen King fan?
No, it's just he didn't like the Langoliers.
It had
He likes Stephen King. He just doesn't like that movie, I think.
it had Bronson Pinchot in it. What's not to like?
I think it just should be redone.
Well, you'll find I've been waiting for them to redo The Stand in a good way for probably about 25 years, and I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think this last one wasn't bad. But, guys, if you have not heard Brilliance on Phable's channel, it had me bopping around the house the other day. Go check it out. He's a lame. Did you win Lame or Frame that night? You did win Lame or Frame that night, right? You narrowly beat out Bob Floss, right? Very narrowly edged out Bob Floss.
Oh my God! Let me tell you. Can I tell you? That was probably the second time I've been on a YouTube stream, and I was nervous as all hell. I mean, I was like thinking of all kinds of ways to get out of it, right? And the only reason the only reason I got into it was because Rod had featured Travis and somebody else. I forgot who else out of the team, but he featured Travis, and I felt like I owed him a favor because that was my guy. I told him, like, he asked me, who should I feature? I said, feature Travis. And he featured Travis. And so I felt like I owed him a favor, but then I kind of regretted it. But anyway, Showtime came, and when I saw you pop up and I saw Gamma Rays pop up, I knew it was going to be a good night, man. You took my fear right away. I got to tell you.
Can I tell you, first of all, that I knew as soon as I heard you were in it? I mean, I know I have no artistic talent whatsoever. But I knew once you were in it, I had no shot. So I might as well buy some costumes and try to make people laugh. And thankfully, that was a good time. Mr. Rod Derican, another staple pillar of this community. Thank for Rod, because that dude is awesome. That dude is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so again, thank you, gentlemen. The cover collector, I'm going to link everybody's stuff down low once the stream goes up. Definitely check these guys out, because if you're not supporting them, they'll still be supporting you. These guys are putting forth a fantastic effort, and whenever I'm on a stream, which is a lot, they're already there with a warm chair for me to sit in. So thank you to both these fine gentlemen. Station to everybody. We'll keep Station ongoing. Check them out. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We'll keep everybody at 3 up. Have a good one.
Station.
You're all worth it.